Alright, so next, guys, we're going into The Legend of Korra, which is going to probably go into the other media section for this week, but when it starts coming out regularly, it's going to
along
have
with
its own
along with certain
thing.
other American television shows that are
Or,
going to be
or rather,
premiering.
Western television, because Walking Dead is going to be one of them, which is American, but like Game of Thrones, there's kind of like a gray area where it's made like Martin is a the writer is American, and so are the directors. They're both American, but it's largely based in European countries with largely European actors. So it's kind of like a
Yeah,
gray area.
yeah, but I mean, it's still like that's. But most people, when they think of Game of Thrones, they think America. They don't think Europe. I mean, they sort of think of Europe when they think about okay, it's fantasy, so a lot of people assume that the fantasy setting is like Europe-esque.
Because it
But
is. It's very.
I mean, it is. But I'm saying is that in terms of like they think of it, but most people would probably consider Game of Thrones as an American TV show.
I'm not
Because
entirely sure about that, but
yeah, all right. So I guess I mean, like I said, we're
yes,
probably gonna have to work on us. We're still thinking about that name for this new section.
right.
I
So
mean, I guess unless you want to like kind of say like maybe separate the other media into like television and gaming
yeah, probably not.
or something like I don't know. It's whatever. All right. Anyway, so
But anyway,
you want
Korra, we're going into Korra, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna briefly talk about books 2 and 3 because as you know, I reviewed book 1 last week. Oh boy! All right, so
just rip the band-aid off.
we're gonna start with the bad one, book 2.
Oh,
Now, book 1 I thought was good, not great, but good. Now, book 2, all of a sudden, you know, Korra's character growth from book 1 was very much non-existent in the beginning, and it
in fact, most people agree it was probably worse.
possibly, and then of course she does start to grow again, but it's like an entirely new process, and it takes like halfway through this season in order for her to really start to grow as a character again, and that's the tip of the iceberg in terms of the problems of book 2. The main problem I have with book 2, well, two main problems. One, the villain, Unalaq, was horrible. He was shit, and I see no reason why he was even considerably like significant for a villain. I don't understand it. He his reasoning was so weak. Okay,
He was just a typical power-hungry person.
my brother has a higher status than me. I will create 10,000 years of chaos. Okay?
No, no, no. First, it started out as he stole the position as chief because his brother was going to become the chief, and he was power-hungry. He was happy for the most part until he found out that his brother's daughter was the Avatar, and then he's like, you know what, screw this. That for you for the sheer fact that your daughter became the Avatar, for that I'm going to bring you about 10,000 years of darkness.
yeah,
It was
put this guy
that
in a straitjacket, please, and just put him in Impel Down or something.
Impel Down. He wouldn't last 2 seconds in Impel Down.
No, he wouldn't. So Unalaq was shit, okay? And,
Well, okay, Impel Down. That's a little stretch. Mainly, the main reason why he wouldn't last is because there's virtually no water.
yeah,
Unless he manages to make it to floor 5, then he's good.
besides that, now, um, the other main issue with Book 2 was the fucking drama. This just did not stop until like the latter part of season 2, and even then it was partly present. But okay, let's talk about some of the tension between Tenzin's kids, between Aang's kids, Korra and her mother, Korra and her father, Korra and Tenzin, Korra and
Korra and
Mako,
everybody. Korra and everybody.
Korra and everybody except Asami. Okay, Asami and Mako.
Eh,
Fucking
well, no. Of course, there was tension with Mako because of the whole thing. They got argued. They broke up. Then the tension kind of sort of went away when she came back from her spirit world journey with Juan and
uh,
forgot all about it. And then,
yeah.
but there was still tension because Mako remembered.
Yeah, like I said, it was the latter half of, like, episode 8 started. I'm pretty sure episode 8 of that season started Juan's flashback, and so it's like, over halfway through, finally, now the drama between just the two of them stops. Okay, Korra and Unalaq, Tonraq and Unalaq. Okay, fucking Unalaq and Tenzin, Tonraq and whatever, Eska, anything with Eska and Desna, and Bolin and Mako. The drama just did not stop. Oh yeah, and the drama with Varric. Let's not forget that. Now, it just didn't stop. It was like, it was a fucking soap opera for the first half. It really was.
Honestly, in my opinion, it was mostly a soap opera.
It was a soap opera. I mean, it was a soap opera with action, essentially. It was just drama after drama after drama after drama. And they weren't getting resolved. Finally, in the second half of it, it was starting to get resolved. But they just couldn't make up for it because there was still...
No, they just made it worse.
Still a shitty villain. And so the drama that occurred between them...
And then there was only one person who could have maybe slightly improved the situation. And then they screwed that over with that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fucking Aang. We're talking about Aang and Korra's connection to all the freaking avatars.
Avatar.
Got cut. Which is a minor problem, but it's still kind of like...
No, it's a major problem because with that, until they restore it, they can't bring in past avatars for anything. And it's also just, that's because that's the main thing with it. Now, honestly, it was connected off in like a BS way. So it's going to be kind of difficult to figure out how they're going to bring it back.
Right.
Now, the only other occurrence of an avatar losing connection with their past ties was Aang in the comics, which are canon because they're written by the same people and they have already been stated as canon. But his was he willingly broke his connection. He wasn't forcibly broke.
Uh-huh.
So that's the difference.
Well, anyway, when I said it was a minor problem, I meant it was a minor problem as to the series as a whole. Obviously, it's a major problem for Korra. Like, I'm talking about points getting deducted from the series. It's a minor problem to me. But it pissed me off, but it was whatever. So that's mostly book 2. Like, honestly, book 2 was bad. I enjoyed it, but it was bad. Now,
book 3.
Let's fucking get to book 3, please. Oh my goodness. I was like, please, book 3, please. And they fucking delivered. Book 3 is the best book, in my opinion. Because...
So far.
Yeah, so far. Because of a few factors. 1, no drama. Very little drama.
Zahir.
2, Zahir. 3, Korra retained her fucking growth and actually was...
And then improved upon it.
Yeah, and was actually a decent to good character all the way through. Mako and Bolin were good, again. I mean, they were dicks in fucking season 2. They were great in season 3. Okay, Asami, still showing that she's fucking relevant. She's a great character, by the way. She's in contention for the best if she had more relevance and screen time, in my opinion. Tenzin and Beifong, Chief Beifong, got even better. And they were...
Which, just in case you guys didn't already know, Chief Beifong and Tenzin are Strider's favorite characters in the series.
They are my favorite characters in the series. I think they are... And I also do not separate them from my favorites and the objectively best. I think they are the best characters and my favorites because of how they've grown and how they've started. Like, Tenzin had a different type of character growth because he started out awesome, but he still had his own like methods of growing. Beifong
Mhm.
started off was a total asshole, and
But
she,
still likable. But still likable.
well, I didn't like her in episode one,
As
but then she turned out to be like this total like amazing like the girl version of a bro, like a sis, I guess. She's like the sis who's like always looking out
like
for the avatar, looking out for everybody, and she becomes fucking awesome while maintaining her personality and still grows. And book 3, she grows
the
with
most.
with the tension between her and her half sister, which is a good
Which
drama.
good form of drama, yes,
Yes,
because they did what nobody else did. They resolved their drama by beating the living shit out of each other.
they fucking duked it out, which is perfect.
It's an action series. That's what how things are supposed to be resolved
Mhm.
with action.
Right, and so Zahira was amazing. Zahira was the best villain so far.
Honestly, Zahir, one of the things that made him the best villain so far is that he did things that you didn't even know was possible to do with airbending.
Right.
Case in point, the murder of the Earth Queen by using airbending to bend the air out of their body so they couldn't breathe.
That was amazing.
Like, when I saw that, I was like, are you shitting me?
I'm so
Are
happy.
you? I was like, yeah, I was happy that she got killed, but I'm just like, what? I cannot believe they just did that. Not only from the standpoint that because it's a Nickelodeon show, but it's a standpoint that like I didn't even think of that. Like nobody ever thought of that.
What, oxygen bending? That seemed pretty obvious to me as a progression, but
Yes, but nobody's like in terms of the like I didn't think that anyone would even like I didn't even think of that. Like I mean I guess if I actually thought about it I would immediately know that it was possible, but it just never occurred to me that everyone would actually do something like that.
yeah, I always assumed it was just like a plot device that nobody ever decided to try to take the oxygen away from somebody. As like Aang never, well, Aang was a kid, so whatever. He didn't
Well
want to
yeah,
kill
but he was
anybody, and
well that's the whole thing is that the reason one of the reasons why it never occurred to anybody that was gonna happen was because airbenders were good guys.
yeah,
Never had an airbending villain until now.
and that was sick that he was an Airbender villain. He was awesome, and his companions were like good fits, like to kind of support
They
him.
were enjoyable too,
Right.
in their own respects.
And Zahir, he was powerful in his own right, but what made him powerful were the two things: were his companions and his brains, his plans, basically. Like he of himself was weaker than Tenzin, but he had his companions who had pretty much every, well, yeah, had all the elements of bending,
hmm
and
Which basically kind of sort of made them, and like as a team, would be considered like an sort of Avatar type thing.
pretty much.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because when you think like now back to the like the whole thing with Tenzin being stronger is the reason this. See, a lot of the people, even though Zahir is the best villain, a lot of people were complaining at the beginning about how he was able to so easily and quickly master airbending. But
Mhm.
I feel that when he fought Tenzin and Tenzin basically showed that he was beating him, it showed that no, Zahir didn't master airbending.
Right.
Tenzin is a real airbending master, and that shows you that because Tenzin had a master, Zahir didn't.
Right.
Zahir was just really good. Just so happened that his skills that he learned prior to becoming an airbender helped him be an airbender, a good airbender.
Yeah, and I mean the only reason he was able to fly was because he literally lost all of his earthly possessions and let go of them all. Tenzin can't do that. He has his children. He has Korra. He has
That's why
his
only
wife.
one other person in history has done it before.
Right.
Because there's always been at least one thing to attach them to the world.
Right.
Even the Avatar. Even though the whole thing about the Guru Patik saying about the unlock the last chakra point, you have to let go of your earthly attachments.
Mhm.
So,
Right. And
which is a load of bullshit anyway, because because both Avatar, Aang and Avatar, everyone, all the avatars have been shown that they, even with earthly attachments, they can control in the avatar state. So that was,
Right.
I thought was a little bullshit. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
We're
So.
talking about book 3 of Legend of Korra.
Oh yeah.
Not
And of course,
the
fucking
Metal Clan was
his
awesome.
his girlfriend
Just
exploding. Her head realistically exploded, like inside that helmet. But it was so fast because it's a Nick show. It was so funny. I laughed when I saw. I'm like, holy fuck! And I started laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
well, they already blew all of their violent or extra violent things on the Earth Queen's death.
Right.
Like after that, they were like, okay, we can't do anything else that was overly violent. So sorry, we didn't get to see her head explode.
So yeah, major improvements on pretty much every character from season 2 to season 3. Book book 3 was the best book in my opinion.
Of course, there was,
It was
despite
great.
all the good praise you've been giving it, I know that there was one particular character, or should I say new character, that you had some issues with.
Oh, who was it? I can't remember.
Kai.
Oh, Kai. Yeah. You know what? Kai was fine. I knew he was going to be a
And
little shit in the beginning, and then end up being, a
yeah, but that's
hero
what
at
I
the
said.
end.
But that was honestly out of everything you said. Because if any of you end up going onto the forum, which you should, and you read his reviews of each of the chat episodes, you see how it's like that's pretty much the worst thing for it. Like in his opinion, the worst thing that happened was that Kai was just being a little shit at the beginning.
Right. And I knew, like, you can see, because I
Right
have
off the
literally
bat.
every episode documented of my basic thoughts on every episode and the overall book thoughts. I knew Kai was going to come through at the end. It was obvious.
Of course, it
So,
was also kind of funny when, he was the bad boy and Janora liked him.
oh yeah,
Pissing off Tenzin.
he gets
Which
pissed
was
off
like
over
all kind of
everything.
He's Tenzin. Well, which is also kind of funny because Tenzin, throughout the series, seems to be more and more like the guy who voices him, too.
Uh huh.
It's funny, too. Now, of course, one of the things we have to also talk about is that those last 2 episodes of the season that were like the last 3 episodes. What am I talking about? Last 3 episodes. Like that was insane. I thought was insane.
Yeah. Well, the last episode was a bit underwhelming in my opinion.
But it's still good though.
It was still fine.
But honestly, I seriously thought that they were going to kill Tenzin at the end of the episode. I was like, no, you can't. Like it was like just the way they were playing it off. Like
Right.
it was, it just seemed like they were gonna because it's a kid show, off screen, kill him, and that was gonna motivate Team Avatar to rip their heads off or something. Like they go beast.
Uh huh.
And but then of course I was relieved the following week when we found out Tenzin was alive, but he got the living shit beat out of him.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's all I have to say on Korra Book 3. So.
Well, the last note I definitely have to say is the fact that why the hell did they do this to us and make Janora look exactly like Aang when she gets her airbending tattoo?
Oh yeah.
Minus the fact that their eye colors are different, she looks exactly the same as Aang.
I know.
Which I guess in a sense should make sense since she's his granddaughter, but still, it's really? And it's funny that we don't notice this until she gets her head shaved and the airbending tattoo's on.
Right.
Because we're not done Korra yet, we have to discuss our expectations for Book 4 because we have a trailer.
Yeah, well, I don't really want to talk too much about that because I kind of want to just move along a little bit, but I mean I'll say my basic thoughts on the chapter the trailer. Similar wording. So trailer. I mean, it looks interesting. Obviously, the last second of the trailer is what
is the
interests
best part.
everyone.
Of course. And called this shit. I knew the moment that we found out that Toph went off into obscurity to find enlightenment, I knew she was going to be coming back in the series.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I can't wait because I know you had some complaints in book 3 with Zuko seemingly weaker, them playing him down as being weaker than he should have been. But Toph, they're not going to nerf her. She's going to be a beast.
Right.
Like she's literally going to be the force that helps Katara, or not Katara for him, Korra stop the supposed revolution that's going on in the Earth Kingdom.
Uh huh.
Because in fact, what was it? I think it was yesterday. They released the first 2 minutes of the first episode,
I saw it. Yeah.
and I was like, okay, so yeah, so this is what happens. This, and so it's pretty much obvious what the basic plot is. But the other interesting thing, one of the other interesting things, is the fact that they, in between books, is a span of 3 years,
Uh huh.
which I thought was pretty interesting.
Right.
Which I guess is, in a way, sort of makes sense. But at the same time, I don't know. But I also like the interesting fact that they decided to have Korra cut her hair short.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, oh, okay.
So
Whatever.
what are they, like, once again, I mean, honestly, I think they're just trying to copy off of, freaking other animes who have their female characters cut their hair short to show some sort of maturity
Mhm.
for some reason. But that's besides the point. It's definitely going to be interesting to see it, especially since, I mean, I guess the fact that the villain's a metal bender is, I guess, different because we haven't had a metal bender villain,
Right.
per se. I mean, we haven't actually had an earthbending villain either, because it was Firebender. The whole Avatar: Last Airbender series was, Firebenders were bad. The main villain was a Firebender.
Mhm.
And in the first 2 seasons of Legend of Korra, the main villain was a waterbender. Now in the third season, the main villain was an airbender, but he had 3 other powerful full benders with him, each one of the other 3 elements.
Mhm.
But in terms of a main villain, it was the airbender.
Yeah.
Now this season, the main villain is going to be a metal bender, and it's some of the things that really stood out, at least, was other than the stuff we've already mentioned, which is the fact that the last second that she mentioned, it's revealed that, in a random cave somewhere, Korra finds Toph. But the other 2 interesting things to note was the new metal suits, robotic suits that look like, instead of being this look like a robot on wheels, they look like friggin' Rock'em Sock'em robots, like they're fighting,
Uh huh.
boxing and shit. And the other thing was when it's presumably, I'm guessing, the main villain is, or some of her henchmen are attacking Korra with liquid metal,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting because that's not something that's been seen yet. I mean, even though it's obviously possible since it's still metal.
Maybe mercury or something. Who knows?
Well, wasn't the poison they used Korra mercury based? It was metal based. Remember, because they said
it
it was
was.
metal based. So it's definitely going to be interesting, and it's interesting because, for one thing, thanks to the 3-year time skip, a lot of the characters are older looking, with new hairstyles, and there's new outfits and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be interesting.
All right, that's enough for Korra for this week. It's about time to move on. All right, so that'll about do it for that. In terms of other
Anything
media,
let's see, watched this past week or played of
yeah.
interest?
Anything else like besides what we've already covered? Well, I guess I could start. I don't really have much, but I did start Kaze no Stigma after I finished up Korra, and that's pretty good so far. One of the things I like about it is
Hello?
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah.
So close to the end, and it's giving us issues.
Alright, I'm just gonna continue off where I was talking.
Okay.
Okay, what was I saying? Oh, I was talking about causing a stigma, but started that. Oh,
Cool.
okay. I'm just gonna restart that. Um, so yeah, I've been watching Kazuya no Stigma ever since I finished up Korra, and it's pretty good so far. Like when I heard like the first 5 seconds of the anime, I was like, oh, I'm going to like this because the very first voice I hear is fucking Robert McCollum. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, yes. He gets. Robert McCollum plays the main character in Kaze no Stigma. I'm like, yes! And, I am, for you guys at home, I am a big fan of Robert McCollum. If you don't know who he is, he plays Sensui. He played Mifune in Soul Eater. He plays Jalal in Fairy Tail. He plays
He pretty much plays
Doflamingo.
a lot of you. He pretty much plays a bunch, almost every one of your favorite characters from various series.
He plays Doflamingo. And he plays Chaka from
Wait, what?
Alabasta.
Wait, Sensui plays Doflamingo?
Yeah, Robert McCollum plays Doflamingo.
Oh, well, then I guess that means you're not going to get him as Law, then.
Probably not. He also played Chaka in Alabasta, which was cool.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I mean, I'm sure he could still. I'm sure they would mind if he plays Law and Doflamingo, which is would be kind of funny when they get to English dubbing Dressrosa
Uh-huh.
and he's having an argument with himself.
Yeah,
But no, they're not. Unfortunately, they're not going to do that.
yeah. So anyway, Causing a Stigma is basically about the main character is like an outcast of a clan of like fire magic users, but he is a wind magic user, and which is stigma of the wind is what Kazuno stigma essentially means, but um, and that's the basic plot of what that is. I won't say anything else about that. It's really good so far. I like it. The other main character is played by Cherami Lee, or Cherami Lee, however you pronounce it, who's a pretty good voice actress, I think.
Of course, she plays a lot of good roles.
Yeah, she does. And so that's it for anime. I've been watching that here and there. I haven't really played any new games. I mean, I've been playing the same shit I always play in general, because I don't really have a ton of time otherwise. Because I kind of, well, I focused a lot on Korra, because I think it took me about 6 days to go through Korra, maybe. I think that was about it. So, I
Well,
started,
that's only because your schedule was super busy.
well, I mean, that's not bad for 38 episodes, really.
No, but I
Over
mean,
6 episodes a day, it's not bad at all.
no.
So
But
yeah,
the old you would have knocked that out in 2 days.
well yeah, if I had no life, I could have done it. Well, I didn't really have, even when I had my off days, like my completely off days, I was kind of like I didn't really want to watch more than like 6 or 7 episodes of Korra, so I was like,
But that's because you've changed. You're no longer the old you.
well, no, if we're talking like if I was watching One Piece or if I was watching something like on a high level, I would have
Oh yeah.
done much
Oh yeah.
more.
You. Well, yeah, but that's not the case. And even still, like the old you, like from a couple years ago, probably would have still like marathoned it between 2 days,
Maybe not really. I mean, the
maybe
the
three.
new me, I guess you could say, is not much different. I marathoned a 200 and something chapter manga in a span of 3 days. So
Which, on my opinion, at least for me, is a lot more difficult than trying to complete a new even like what was it when I was catching up with Sword Art Online and Sword Art Online 2, like that to me is a lot more, you know, which is much easier than trying to catch up on like 200 chapters of reading,
Mm-hmm.
because which you already know from the fact that I'm still having trouble with reading two particular mangas that I shouldn't be reading,
Uh huh.
and we've already mentioned it, so there's no point in
Right.
you know beating a dead horse.
And my momentum got broken with Korra because like
Book two.
I watched the Hunter x Hunter episode and I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh yeah, the last episode
Yeah,
for like a while
until 2050. But
when they finally comes back.
it broke my momentum because I'm like, oh fuck, this is so good and Korra's not.
Because he was probably, yeah, I know. It's I know that it's. I know. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about Hunter x Hunter.
It's so friggin' good. It's same guy who made for Yu Yu Hakusho. How can you go wrong? You just can't. He's so good at writing. It's ridiculous. But
Unfortunately, he can't handle the pressure.
his fucking health is horrible. Which is
Well, maybe he should get some health tips from Oda.
what he needs to do. Like what I actually said in one of my reviews for on this podcast is that what we should do is we should start a Kickstarter to to get um to get Togashi over here into the U.S. to get proper like medical treatment. Which would be
Now, of course, if
interesting.
we actually got, yeah, which of course, if we got the viewers we actually wanted for this podcast, that might actually mean something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it was probably somebody, like, for instance, the whole thing with, like, the ice bucket challenge over the summer. That was probably just one person's idea that they thought would be, that they probably thought wouldn't catch on at all.
Well,
But
that
it did.
started off completely different. It was like it wasn't an ice bucket challenge. It was jumping in a lake challenge, like in the middle of winter, and calling out other people, and then that evolved into the ALS ice bucket challenge. Eventually, it was
But
interesting.
still, yes, but at the same time, they didn't actually think it was going to be as popular as it was.
Oh no, definitely not.
Well, no, the main reason is because it's the main reason why it became popular was the fact that you recorded it and put it on the internet.
Right.
That's the part that made it interesting, because then certain people were calling out other people, and then as they started, like, because people would start calling out famous internet personalities, and then they would start, and it just started getting higher and higher up in terms of more and more famous people, and that's why you got into like celebrities doing it and like the friggin' president,
Hmm.
because of the fact that who called out who.
Right. Yeah. Last thing I
Now, of
saw.
course, I thought, the funniest one, of course, I felt was the one Batista did, because he took the ice bath challenge. He took a ice bath.
Wow.
I thought that was funny. But anyway, besides the point.
Yeah. Last thing I saw this week was a Lego movie. I thought it was okay.
Oh yeah, I saw that review. It was, I mean, it was honestly for a kids movie. It was a good kids movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's a family movie. Like as a family movie, it holds up. Like okay, I thought like my dad and I saw it with my sister. My sister liked it, and my dad and I were just like, it's just okay. Whereas a lot of family movies, like all of us will say, you know what, it was actually a pretty good movie. It was just kind of he
I
actually
mean,
fell asleep.
I mean, it was. I thought it was. Yeah, I know. I still thought that some of the jokes were
Some of them
funny,
were.
and the fact that and the fact that no matter what they did, everything was made of Lego was kind of funny.
Yeah, like that charm was funny in the beginning, and they didn't play enough on it. I think after like the beginning, Batman was pretty good, and I like the whole thing with Superman and Green Lantern. Only a lot of comic book geeks will probably get that. Like how considering the relevance of Green Lantern compared to Superman, that was pretty funny.
Well, I also thought the Spaceman was pretty funny, because he was played by Charlie
Right.
Day, which, if any of you know, he plays Charlie on Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
So I thought his that character was pretty funny.
I thought it was okay. I
You
thought
know,
he was okay. Yeah, I mean the main
but
character was
overall,
okay. He was just average. I mean that was the point, but obviously didn't really strike me either way. So it was just average to me. I didn't care too much about it.
well, of course I like, I wanted to I give it like, maybe a minor boost only because the main character was played by Chris Pratt, and we all know how much better he can do,
Right.
how much better he's done this year after
Yeah.
that Lego movie. Which is kind of also funny because I think this year this fall they've started the final season of Parks and Recs. I think,
Hmm.
which is kind of funny since now his movie career is now as a, which is which is probably going to go off because just like with Chris Hemsworth, like after he did Thor, the first Thor, he started appearing in a ton of
Right.
movies. So I think that's going to happen the same with Chris Pratt, except instead of being a bunch of action movies, it's going to be a bunch of
Hmm.
comedies. Which I hope he doesn't fall victim to that, family comedy-itis that a lot of comedians do. Where they try to do family-friendly comedies and they end up being
Uh huh.
crap.
All right. So that's it for me.
Um, like I said, I already stated that, since last week I did the whole Sword Art Online thing. Today, in particular, I watched the One Piece releases. In terms of gaming, because I was so busy, I pretty much got zero gaming in, and but thankfully on Friday, Super Smash Bros. 3DS comes out, so I'll be most likely playing
Nice.
that. Um, and in terms of other things I've seen, not really too much in terms of anything else except I got around to watching the one of the Naruto movies, the Road to
Ah,
Ninja, which I think I hear they're actually getting it. I think they actually said they were going to get it that one English dubbed.
probably.
In fact, I think I heard. I know. I thought I saw somewhere saying that it was actually going to be coming out like this fall.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere, but it was definitely interesting to see the whole mock Infinite Tsukuyomi where they got to be in that other world. I thought that was kind of, and the whole fact that Sakura basically took on Naruto's life, and Naruto got the life he always wanted with his
Mm,
parents,
right.
and the fact that everyone had different personalities. But honestly, in terms of all the people that in terms of the people who had different personalities that I noticed that honestly stood out for me the most was
Hmm.
Hinata and her over indulgence and like, or not overindulgence, but like overly zealous with trying to get Naruto. Like I thought that was funny. Um, and the other two that stood out was the literally reversal of personalities between Kakashi and Guy.
What about Sasuke?
Oh, the fact that oh, he's here, and she thought, oh my god, I'm going to live in a world where Sasuke loves me, and he ends up being a
That
player.
was I thought Sasuke was great. Sasuke and Hinata to me were like amazing. I just wish they had incorporated more of the alternate realities on like in the film, but it focused too much on like Naruto and Sakura where I feel like if they had focused more of their attention on like this awesome gimmick of the alternate realities, it's like damn. Would have been a pretty solid movie.
Interesting.
Okay.
Oh, this is interesting. looking up the Naruto Road to Ninja movie, and apparently, amongst all of the hype that we had over the summer about the DBZ theater release, apparently, Viz Media had released in select theaters at the end of August, as opposed to the beginning of August. They released English dubbed Naruto or Road to Ninja in theaters.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. This is on IGN. And apparently they did that. But everyone, I guess, was so caught up in the Battle of Gods hype that it just went to the wayside.
Yeah, what the hell? I didn't... Like, I discuss with, like, on Naruto section in Manga Fox all the time. I didn't hear shit about that. Holy fuck. Jeez.
Yeah. Apparently it happened. It was a thing.
Wow.
Apparently.
Jeez.
Well, I don't even know if it would have come anywhere near you
Probably
anyway.
not. Unless it was on, like, Tropicana or whatever.
Tropicana?
Well, yeah, Tropicana has, they have an IMAX theater, but I doubt they would play freaking Road to Ninja on an IMAX.
Well, it looks like, according to this, it looks like the only place in New Jersey they were playing it at was in Manville.
Oh, that's probably like an hour and a half away from me.
And the only spot in PA they were playing it at was in a theater in Pittsburgh. So there's no way we were seeing
It's
that
like a
anyway.
3-hour drive from Philly, right?
Something like that. Pittsburgh? No, it's more like 5.
Jeez.
So yeah, but in terms, but it doesn't say too much about. Doesn't say if they're planning on releasing it on DVD. Look, I even found there's an article even on Sane Island from back in July about it being released in theaters.
Huh.
Like Jesus, that's literally.
Well, nice marketing, Viz.
That's funny.
It is funny, but it's just bizarre that nobody advertised this.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a following here in the U.S. I mean, the majority of us hate Sasuke, but they have a following.
You don't sound too much like you hate Sasuke.
No, I don't. I don't hate him. I don't love him.
You're not like friggin' Naruto who wants to D.
No, fucking Susanoo sword up my ass. Alright, so is that about it for
Hold on, I'm just looking up this details about this. Well, from what it looks like here, according to what it looks like, interesting. Interesting. Apparently, according to Amazon.com, they have a pre-order for the Road to Ninja movie on both DVD and Blu-ray to come out on November 25th, and says has English language.
Huh. Cool.
And apparently, I think it looks like it might also include the original Japanese as well.
They always do. There's no question about that.
Well, yeah. So it looks so. Apparently on November 25th we'll get Road to Ninja English dubbed, so you'll be able to get to see the English voice actor for Sasuke be a player.
Oh, that sounds awesome. He is such a good voice actor too. I love Yuri Lowenthal.
But honestly, not the one thing I am curious is if that that special OVA episode that came out, that they released with the Naruto game has been leaked onto the internet.
Oh, has it?
I said I wonder
Oh,
if put on the internet, because if it has, you should watch it, because you're not necessarily. I know you're going to get the game eventually, but
mhm.
I just really want you to see it so you can just see how funny it is. Like I actually think I might look it up to see if you can find
It's
it.
there. Hmm.
It is. You look. How long does it is
Well,
the video?
this particular video is only 26 seconds, but let me see. Let me scroll down a bit more. I'm gonna click on the video to see if like oh there it is. About 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm putting this up because I'm gonna watch this definitely. All right, I'll watch this later.
Hmm.
So guess that'll about do it for our other media section then.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, it's
So
pretty interesting, you know.
that's
So
our media for the week overall.